In Argentina, the ruling coalition Frente de Todos, the Front for All, managed to maintain a slim majority in Congress, although its main opposition force, Juntos por el Cambio, Together for Change, was the most voted political force and now controls the Senate. President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, denounced terrorist attempts to sabotage the November 21st regional and municipal elections. And the polling stations closed and election officials began counting votes in Bulgaria's third general election this year as the country fights its deadliest coronavirus virus. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Now we begin with the news. After this Sunday's legislative elections in Argentina, the ruling coalition Frente de Todos, the Front for All, managed to maintain a slim majority in Congress, although its main opposition force, Juntos por el Cambio, Together for Change, was the most voted political force and now controls the Senate. With more than 98% of the votes counted, the main opposition bloc, Juntos por el Cambio, reached 42% of the votes, while Frente de Todos obtained 33.5% of the votes at national level, pending the final count. The ruling party now has 119 deputies out of the 257 Congress seats, but lost their Senate majority as the opposition now has 31 Senate seats out of 72. For the first time in 38 years since the return of democracy in 1983, Peronism will not have a majority in the Senate. On the other hand, the results of the province of Buenos Aires show a surprising parity between Everyone's Front and Together for Change, with 38.41% and 40.05% respectively. And the president, Alberto Fernández, exercised his right to vote at a polling station located in Puerto Madero neighborhood in the city of Buenos Aires. In a brief statement soon after casting his vote, the head of state said that this Sunday is the day of democracy and that every time Argentina votes is an invaluable moment. The executive also pointed out that the electoral process is being carried out under normal conditions and with absolute calm.
We ask the Argentinians the most is that they go and express themselves so we can build the country we want, and that is the objective. What we want is the people to express themselves today and do it with all their strength, with all their conviction. And what we ask the Argentinians.
The candidates of Together for Change shared a traditional breakfast at Croque Madame in the Porteño neighborhood of Recoleta, led by the candidate for National Deputy María Eugenia Vidal and the head of government of Buenos Aires, Horacio Rodríguez Larreta. Vidal pointed out that if everyone listened to the people's vote, both the government and the opposition will be able to do their job well. Larreta exercised his right to vote this Sunday after 9 o'clock at the law school and cautiously pointed out that the electoral ban must be respected. She also welcomed And in Argentina, aside of the election outcome and other political aspects, voting day was for the people. We have a brief report on how the polls roll out for Argentinians.
With a higher percentage of participation than in the primary, open, simultaneous and mandatory elections, Argentine citizens exercise their right to vote in the 23 Argentine provinces and the autonomous city of Buenos Aires.
I'm very happy, very happy. Long life democracy. Democracy is the most important thing, so this time everything depends on the people, and that is our struggle.
I came to cast a vote I have long been deprived of due to a generational issue, so every time I vote I feel immensely happy.
I already cast my vote, and well, let's see the results this weekend. Let's hope for the best, right? The best for the country.
Once the COVID-19 pandemic was under control, the national government relaxed health measures. This decision allowed the electoral process to be carried out more quickly.
Everything was perfect. There was gel alcohol, I was perfectly attended and no complaints at all. Very normal, they let me pass because I was older, so I have nothing to say. On the contrary, everyone was very attentive. I'm a foreigner and I had the chance to vote, so I already cast my vote and this is my first time electing deputies, so I'm very happy.
Of the total number of Argentines residing abroad, 4,152 were formally authorized to vote. This figure represents almost 1.13% of the national roll, which is made up of a total of 34,003,292 citizens.
Let us hope that the result will come out the way we want it, and see if we can spend the next 2 years as well as possible, that the laws we need can be enacted and improve a little bit. I believe that afterwards we are already overcoming the pandemic. Probably we'll be able to emerge not having a fourth wave and rise up again as a country, right? It is hard to rise up as a country every time we face them, but, well, we will do our best to move forward.
Candidates of the fronts and alliances contesting the 127 seats in the lower house and 24 in the upper house of the National Congress also voted with normality.
I came with my vote decided. I fully support our current government, so it seems to me that we have to strengthen the course so that the workers can feel supported and protected by a national and popular government like the current one of the Argentine Republic.
It now remains to wait for the official provisional results of the legislative electoral process that will define the new composition of the Argentinian parliament.
Carolina Silvestre, TeleSUR, Buenos Aires.
And we'll be right back after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, announced the capture of a group of mercenaries who tried to sabotage the storage location of the National Electoral Council in Mauritius.
A group of mercenaries, terrorists and traitors was caught red-handed, which had the mission of the terrorist attack of setting fire to the storage location of the National Electoral Council in Mauritius, with the machines and the electoral kits with which the next elections will be held next Sunday, November 21st, are located.
In turn, the Venezuelan president requested the government of Spain to capture and extradite former politician Leopoldo López, who is the mastermind of the terrorist attacks carried out against Venezuela.
We will officially and legally request to the Spanish government the capture and extradition of the mastermind of this attack, the person who gave the orders, which has been proven, and the investigation and capture of Leopoldo López as head of this terrorist gang. It is not the first time we denounce this. We have done it several times, that terrorist and violent attacks against the national security of Venezuela are being planned from Madrid.
In this sense, the Venezuelan president Nicolás Maduro ratified his support to the National Electoral Council, despite the attacks of terrorist groups.
This group from Spain and from Colombia tried to set on fire the storage location of the National Electoral Council, so I ratify all the support as head of state to the electoral power of the country, all the support to the electoral process of next Sunday, November 21st, all my support.
And despite these incidents, the National Electoral Council of Venezuela advances in the process of auditing voting machines 1 week before the regional and municipal elections of November 21st. During the audit, Pedro Calzadilla, the president of the council, guided the tour through the production lines. He also asserted that 0.5% of the voting machines are being audited so as to offer more guarantees and security to the Venezuelan people. Calzadilla highlighted the importance of the Plan República in the electoral process and repudiated several terrorist attacks aimed at destabilizing the country in the face of the elections. He also stated that 89% of the electoral timetable is completed and that the electoral campaign will finish next Thursday at midnight.
We are ready, everything is ready so that on November 21st, the people of Venezuela will once again freely gather at the voting centers and exercise their own sovereignty and popular will.
Calzadilla also condemned the intended terrorist attack on the sheds of the National Electoral Council located in the Rose of Maurice in the state of Miranda.
We, from the National Electoral Council, want to reject these type of actions. We call upon all the citizens, the people of Venezuela, to be alert. This was just an attempt, and it is under investigation.
And we keep our focus in Bolivia because in spite of the agreements and the abrogation of Bill 1386 approved by President Luis Arce, violent groups belonging to the Cruceñista Youth Union, a violent opposition organization, have attacked a popular neighborhood in Santa Cruz and ratified the calls for a strike and protest. The incidents are reported in the area known as Plan 3000, a housing development made up mostly of Bolivians from the Altiplano. According to the complaint filed by members of the Movement Towards Socialism, a group of dozens of people identified as part of the opposition Santa Cruz Youth Union attacked neighbors, leaving several injured, in an atmosphere of violence and racism. Hours before, local residents had publicly expressed their opposition to the decision to sustain the strike called by the Santa Cruz Civic Committee, despite the abrogation of Bill 1386.
We categorically reject the attitude of Rómulo Calvo, another one that becomes an enemy of the people of Santa Cruz, because he hires the Palomillos, he hires the Maleantos, to edit what is a criminal civic strike that at this moment is massacring the people of Santa Cruz. For that reason, we reject categorically his action. The population is in a state of emergency. We reject what is a criminal civic strike.
Now we move on to other topics. In Spain, 8 migrants drowned in the south of the Spanish island of Gran Canaria. The victims, of African origin, were adrift for more than a week. The fatal victims were found by the Maritime Rescue Service on Saturday, the night, on board of a skiff that had been drifting for more than a week. The emergency services also reported that the 62 occupants of the boat were of Maghrebi origin. During the rescue, 3 of them were transferred by helicopter to a hospital on the island to receive urgent care. The boat was scythed by a French sailboat at around 6 p.m. local time, and its origins is still unknown. According to figures released by the International Organization for Migration, at least 782 people died trying to reach the Canary Coasts between January and August of this year. Now we move on to other topics. At least 2 people died and 27 resulted injured after 2 over 6 degrees earthquakes struck southern Iran on Sunday. The 6.4 and 6.3 magnitude earthquakes, with just 90 seconds between them, had their epicenter hit at a depth of 15 kilometers in Hormozgan province, according to the Iranian Seismological Center. So far, the Iranian Red Crescents registered 2 victims. The first of them was a 22-year-old man that was killed by a falling electricity pole. Iran's deadliest quake was a 7.4 magnitude tremor that struck in 1990, killing 4,000 people in the north of the country. And we have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back. Bulgaria's new centrist political party was seen winning parliamentary elections on Sunday, according to 4 exit poll, increasing chances of an end to a political deadlock in the European Union's poorest member state. An anti-graft party was in neck-and-neck race with the Conservatives, according to exit polls on Sunday. We Continue the Change Party, led by 2 Harvard-educated former businessmen, garnered 23% of the vote, just below nearly 25% for 3-time Premier Boyko Borisov's Citizens for European Development of Bulgaria party. Analysts have said they expect parties to try hard to form a government to end the political crisis, highlighting the need to tackle the raging pandemic.
I hope that this time at last we'll have a regular government. Overall, I expect to have a different result now, even if deep down all parties are from the same kind, and the new ones do not offer much of a different choice, but just some diversification.
I hope to have a normal parliament, a normal government, and a normal president, because if we continue to divide, you know what happens with a bundle of sticks. They break if you separate them, but not if they stay together. So I hope we stay more united.
And the son of former Libyan ruler Muammar Gaddafi runs for president. According to the High National Elections Commission, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, son of Libya's former leader Muammar Gaddafi, registered on Sunday to run in the country's December presidential polls. He also received his electoral card from the electoral center in which he is registered. Libya will hold general elections on December 24th, as part of a roadmap adopted by the UN-sponsored Libyan Political Dialogue Forum. Born in 1972, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi is the second of Gaddafi's 8 children and the eldest son of his second wife, Sofia. The Emir of Kuwait accepted the resignation of the Prime Minister and other ministries in the executive cabinet in order to reduce tensions in governmental bodies. Nawaf al-Hamad al-Jubair al-Sabah, the nation's highest authority, issued a decree accepting the resignation of Prime Minister Sheikh Sabah al-Khalid al-Sabah, who resigned on behalf of the entire cabinet. This move was made with the aim of contributing to the optimization of relations between the parliament and the executive to improve the government's management. However, he asked the outgoing authorities to remain in office pending the establishment of a new government. And the protests in Sudan took a shift to violence when security forces killed 6 demonstrators in clashes during an anti-coup protest on Saturday. The protesters were shot dead in the recent clashes on Saturday, and several gatherers were reported injured by live rounds of ammunition. The latest deaths amount to 20 people killed in the demonstrations that favor a return to democracy after the military coup of October 25th, when the leading general Abdel Fattah al-Burhan overthrew Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok and established a de facto government that plunged Sudan in a surge of popular malcontent. Syria's recovery is moving forward as the nation restored its place at the Arab Producers Union for TV production in Egypt. Following its suspension for several years, the Arab Republic appointed Ali Ounez as vice president of the union and a member in the board of directors representing the Syrian production sector, as he is the chairman of board directors of the Syrian Industry Commission for Cinema and Television. Through this decision, the country returned to participate in all the events related to the union, with the first activity to be Cairo Networks at Media Mondial, that is considered as an open market for promotion of the Syrian networks. And now we continue in Syria, where the Ministry of Health received this Sunday a batch of 500,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccine donated by the People's Republic of China. The Minister of Health, Hassan Al-Gubash, informed that the batch is part of the continuation of vaccines sent by the Chinese government that seeks to support the Arab country in the plan of immunization against the new coronavirus. The official also stressed that to date, only 5% of the population has been vaccinated in the country. At the same time, the Chinese ambassador in Damascus pointed out that the total amount of vaccines delivered to Syria amounts to 800,000 doses. It should be noted that the country is facing the pandemic with strong coercive and unilateral measures from the United States and the European Union, which hinders the purchase of vaccines. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.